last but not least, I wanted to talk about a documentary that I watched. So, do you guys remember? Well, the documentary is called MH370, the plane that disappeared. So it was released on Netflix this year. This year? Yeah, this year. And
so it's recent.
It's recent.
Okay, but
the story behind it is not recent. The story is like almost...
When it happened?
9 years ago. It happened in March 8th, 2014.
And nobody saw?
Nobody found anything
to
this day. But you know, guys, you guys know.
Asia.
Malaysia. It was a Malaysia Airlines, the airplane.
Right. I think I saw a video from a YouTuber that kind of investigated what happened.
There were many conspiracy theories and many theories. I'm not going to say like conspiracy theories, but like theories, because nobody knows. Like any of these theories could be actually true.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to say conspiracy. Of course, some of them they're so out there that you're like, no, like aliens, for example. I mean,
I love the alien story. Please respect that, Roger. Please respect me.
Excuse me, my throat is a little bad. But anyway, so you guys remember the story, like a little bit, but you know, like it was the Malaysian airline. It was leaving from
vaguely. I don't remember like clearly
from Malaysia to China.
It was to China.
He wanted to land in China. So this plane took off from Kuala Lumpur in direction to China, like in Beijing. But then I think it was like an hour or 2 hours later, they lost contact. The pilot said something like, he was leaving the... See, it's been so long that I forgot everything now. I'm not sure if it was a Vietnamese or if the pilot was entering the Vietnamese, like, airspace. It was something like that. Either leaving the Malaysia and entering the Vietnamese, or leaving the Vietnamese and entering the Chinese. But he was like saying to this controller, like, yeah, everything's fine, blah, 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 good night. And then when he was going to contact the next one, so they lost contact with the plane. They never heard anything anymore from the pilot. And the plane simply disappeared. Like nobody ever saw anything again.
That is actually very interesting.
And it's crazy. There were 227 passengers and 12 crew members. And it's like all these people, they disappeared and they basically were declared dead after a while, based on math. That's what the documentary says, because they didn't find any bodies. They didn't find the planes or pieces of the plane. They have no idea. Because at first they thought, okay, maybe since they lost contact in the South China Sea, so chances are that the plane fell there. Something happened. Maybe it exploded because there were some people on the ocean, on a ship, that they said they heard a noise. They saw, like, not sure if they saw or if they just heard like a loud noise, almost like an explosion. But they didn't find anything. They didn't find debris in that place after they looked.
Aliens.
Maybe.
That is not a conspiracy.
Yeah.
You think
I mean, that is something out of this world.
It is totally crazy. But then, like, after some time, they contacted this I forgot which country, but there was like a satellite that belonged to a different country, and this satellite picked up signals from the plane, like many hours later, but not in the South China Sea, like, because the plane was going east.
Okay.
But the signals were caught in west.
I saw something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was like as if the plane did a U-turn and went all the way back, like flying over the country again, and like onto the other coast, like towards India, which was like crazy. But they didn't have like and they didn't know if the plane had gone north or south, because it was like a radius based on a distance.
Let me stop you a little.
Sure.
So, for example,
it's kind of confusing, but
yeah, because I know that there's this contact and everything, but is it possible to break the contact if I want, the pilot? For example, I mean, okay, I'm gonna put in simple words, okay? It's like Bluetooth wireless or something. okay, you know what? Let me press a button here, and now nobody's gonna contact me. Is this possible in airplanes?
One of the theories.
Not safe at all. That is not safe at all.
I have no clue. Actually.
Because it has to be one way that, even if the guy, hey, you know what? Let me stop something here. That they need to know where this airplane is, right?
So one of the theories said that
I don't know.
One of the theories said that the pilot.
Is that possible though?
One of the theories said that the pilot could have shut off the communications from his
panel or something?
His cabin.
Okay, yeah, correct.
But there was like a pilot and a co-pilot. Either both of them had to be in on it, or like the pilot had to maybe lock the co-pilot outside and then shut it off and do something. But like there were many interesting. That's one of them. The pilot did it. So he shut it off, the communications. But I guess from what I understood that there are other ways that they can detect the plane. That he can shut off the communications.
Yeah, but not completely get it. It's
but
like
not.
This.
No, I mean I can stop communication. I can if I want, but I think the signals.
The signals, exactly. That's what they don't understand. And it was so abrupt that it's almost like the plane either disappeared or exploded.
Okay, was there an important person there?
Important person?
Yeah, in this plane.
Like a poor politician or something like that.
No, but I heard somewhere that there were some researchers. And then I don't know how true this is, but there were some researchers that had something really like important,
because
like an important research going on, like the cure. They had like the cure for something very big.
Okay.
Maybe not the cure, but like the research was really advanced. But I'm not sure how true this is. It's also in the realm of the theories, speculation.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was so that's one of the theories. Like the pilot did it. And he wanted to do like a mass suicide. He shut it off, the communications, locked the co-pilot outside of the cabin, and then depressurized the whole cabin so people would like pass out, including the co-pilot, so he couldn't do anything. And then he would like dive the plane, not into the South China Sea, but like the west. I forgot, the Indian Ocean.
So yeah, but for this to work, he needed somebody huge there. I mean, an important person in the country.
I don't know.
They
said like in the beginning that he had some like history of like mental like depression and stuff like that. But then like after a lot more investigation, they kind of like cleared his name and said, no, it wasn't the pilot. That was a working theory, but there was not enough evidence to support it. That it wasn't the pilot?
Probably not.
The official report does not state that it was a pilot.
Wow.
In the beginning, they were suspecting, because of his like depression. He had like a simulation in his room that he was like flying like the same path. But then it's like, okay, but there's no motivation. Everybody who knew him, like family, even the co-workers who stayed behind, who were not on the plane, they're like, no, there's no way it was him. Like there was no evidence. He didn't leave any letter, suicide note, anything like that. So the official report is like, no, it wasn't him. But they also suspect that the plane was hijacked. That's another theory that the documentary shows. And if you like search online, you're gonna see
aliens.
But hijacked by whom? I don't know. Martians.
The Martians.
Russians, actually, because
Russians.
Yeah, they suspect the Russians might have done it. It's also a theory. Because 4 months later, 4.5 months later, another Malaysian airplane fell, people killed, but this was shot down was it by the Russians or, I think it was by the Russians. But this plane was shot down and then they were like, okay, maybe this is a distraction, because this is so rare that a plane just disappear, let alone like be shot down from space, like in the sky and then like kill everybody. But there was like Russia was doing like operations in Crimea 2014. And then people were like, okay, maybe this is a diversion, maybe they wanted to like make that first plane disappear so people would be talking about it, so they could do like these operations in Crimea and take this territory from Ukraine. And then they shot this other plane. It was actually, I think the plane was like flying over some place, and not sure if it was intentional or maybe it was like a defense system, but like from the same airline from Malaysia.
Is that documentary like a series of episodes? It was like one like 2-hour documentary.
This was 3 episodes, I think it was about an hour and a few minutes, like each episode. So like total like 3 hours, maybe 4.
Something that I would like to see.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, and like after 3 years, authorities they suspended. Like they never found anything. Like in the documentary, they are gonna show there's this guy, an American man. He searches for these kind of weird things, and then he claims that he found like pieces of debris in, I forgot the place too, but somewhere like on the coast of the place that it kind of makes sense, but like based on the serial numbers that they could find in these pieces, they could not determine for sure that it belonged to the plane.
Oh,
because there's like many numbers, and then they were checking like every single one of them. They're like, okay, we cannot say 100%. So this guy believes it was debris from the plane, but nobody knows for sure.
This one is not official in this.
It's not official.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. And the place where they believe the plane went down, which is the Indian Ocean, South Indian, it's so remote that it's impossible, nearly impossible to find. They searched for many hours, like days, weeks, months, years. They couldn't find anything at all. Like officially.
Is it like an agitated sea or something like that?
That too. It's very remote, like very far from any like continent, from any land, from any island.
There's not really islands during
not space. Really islands from what I understood. And also the ocean is very agitated. So it's like dangerous as well. And I mean, I don't know how many kilometers there are like in depth for the planes, for some sort of radar
to pick up
equipment to pick up, like signals. I think many years from now they might find it by accident. Maybe I was reading I'm not sure if I read a book or I saw it on a podcast, but they found like pieces of an old ship that left Africa in direction to Brazil, bringing slaves. But then it sunk in, I think it was like south of South Africa. And like they never found that until like, I don't know the year exactly, but it was like after the 2000s. So it's like,
wow,
hundreds of years for them to find this ship. And then like,
yeah, it takes time. Man.
Yeah, test the wood and then they found like some bodies, like of course not the whole thing, but like pieces of stuff, because of course the fish, maybe bones, I don't know, and also the things that they would use to hold people. But yeah,
that's crazy.
I think maybe many years from now, or maybe a more advanced human species will have more advanced technology, or aliens.